Happy Sunday, all you Minties! Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, and join me for an overview of Batman: The Long Halloween, the sequel, Dark Victory, Deluxe Edition. Long title, but it's a great story. So, stay tuned. And welcome back, everybody. Now, this deluxe edition came out in January, and I thought about doing an overview, even though I own the Absolute, but I know a lot of you all have been collecting these Batman stories in deluxe editions. So a few of you reached out to me to see if I was still going to do it, and I'll be honest, because of everything going on this year so far, it feels like a long year already, I completely forgot about it, so thank you all for reminding me. So here it finally is, my overview of Batman: The Long Halloween, Deluxe Edition, the sequel, Dark Victory. What a ridiculous title. Why did they just call it Batman Dark Victory? It's riding on the coattails of Long Halloween, or does it stand alone as its own thing? Well, we'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. The first thing I want to point out is this cover here. It's a new cover by Tim Sale featuring the Dark Knight and his companion there, his sidekick. That is Dick Grayson, the original Robin. Now, could be a little misleading because does Robin actually appear in this? Well, I'll let you find out for sure. Here is what the spine looks like, Batman: The Long Halloween. And if I hadn't already packed the the Long Halloween Deluxe Edition, I would have put it together with this. Long Halloween Deluxe Edition, the sequel, Dark Victory, Loeb and Sale down there in the DC logo. Here is the back of the book. We've seen this cover here on the Absolute Edition, and here is Batman, Commissioner Gordon. So, no dust jacket, much like the Long Halloween Deluxe Edition. It's just art on the board, and I'm sure you could probably tell. Yeah, here we go. The only glossy parts of this are the title and the characters here. Everything else has a flat finish to it. That's a nice little touch. Okay, let's get this book open and talk about the stories in here without going into spoilers, of course, and show off this artwork. Alright, let's go ahead and get this opened. Here's the end paper. It's this thick matte paper right there. And then we move on to glossy, as you could probably tell by the glare. Here's an image of Batman by Tim Sale. Jeph Loeb, Tim Sale, Gregory Wright, who is one of the unsung heroes of this particular book. Richard Starkings and Comic Craft are the letterers. And the collection cover artists are Tim Sale and Brennan Wagner. Now, Batman, love it. Created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger in early editions of this, because I'm sure most of you that have been collecting for a long time know they always left out Bill Finger. It wasn't up until 7 years ago that they started adding Bill Finger's name to the comics and the collected editions. So, very nice. There is no table of contents, no credits outside of this one, which you don't really need any. So, we get the cover. And again, like DC likes to do, virgin cover, no numbers, no titles. And we jump right into the story. So, speaking of story, why is it called The Long Halloween, the sequel, Dark Victory, Deluxe Edition? Well, because it really is a sequel, a follow-up to The Long Halloween. And that is both a wonderful thing and kind of a bad thing, because whenever I did, like, where to first start reading Batman and Collected Editions, that video, you saw that this was left out. And it was left out because this relies heavily on you having read the story that happened in The Long Halloween. So, I'm not going to reveal what happened in The Long Halloween, but I am going to talk about some of the things that that aren't too spoilery, that I'm sure most of you know, like the story of Two-Face, and why things have changed since The Long Halloween. So before going any further, though, this does collect Batman: The Dark Victory, issue 0 through 13. So all of that is collected in here, as well as the material from the Absolute Edition. The book has 416 pages and retails for $49.99. Now, the events that you're going to be reading about here are a few months after The Long Halloween. Now, The Long Halloween is practically year 2. If you have Frank Miller's Batman year 1, Long Halloween stands as year 2. I know, it sucks for the 12 of us that loved Mike W. Barr's, Todd McFarlane's, and Alan Davis's Batman year 2. Well, I got some bad news too, because Batman year 3 has been retconned by this book. So this is now Batman year 3. It's a few months after Batman Long Halloween, and we're still figuring things out. Now, Batman the Long Halloween focused heavily on the relationship between three characters, and that is Bruce Wayne Batman, Commissioner Gordon, and Harvey Dent. He was a district attorney. Now, something happened within the pages of the Long Halloween where District Attorney Harvey Dent became Two-Face. And towards the end of the Long Halloween, the trio of friends were just broken apart, shattered. Their friendship is gone. Batman is now working alone. Not even Catwoman can distract him. He feels like a loner. He feels like he is responsible for what happened to his friend Harvey Dent. Commissioner Gordon is trying to work with him, but Batman doesn't really want to work with anybody. He wants to be a loner, and this is what starts that whole saga of Batman just broody and just feeling the weight of what happened in the events of Long Halloween. Because Long Halloween was a year long. It took a year to figure out who was doing all the murders. And did they figure it out? Well, if you haven't read it, maybe it's time to read it. Now, what's interesting about this story is that, now Harvey Dent and the Falcone family are still going to war because now Harvey Dent is Two-Face. So they've taken that once district attorney that fought against the Falcone family, and now he's fighting in a different turf. He's fighting on the streets. There's a territory war that's going on. He has been replaced, though, as district attorney. We have a new character that appears through these particular pages, and that is this lady right here, Janice Porter. So she is the now newly appointed district attorney, and she does not like Batman's method. Unlike Commissioner Gordon and Harvey Dent, she is opposed to his method, doesn't trust him, doesn't really trust Commissioner Gordon, but she is now the district attorney of Gotham City. The premise behind this is that we have a new murderer. We have some new murders going on, like the Holiday Killer in the first book. Now we have somebody called the Hangman, and he leaves, towards the very beginning, cops hanging like this with a puzzle to solve. And that is who the Hangman is. Why the Hangman, why he or she is going after police officers, well, that's part of the mystery. And it's up to Batman to team up again with Commissioner Gordon to try to figure out who is killing these cops and leaving these mysteries behind. Could it be Holiday again? It's a big mystery with a lot of twists and turns. Now, one thing I will say about this particular story, though, is by now, my goodness, I think Tim Sale's art has perfected. I loved his stuff in Batman The Long Halloween, and I realized his art is not for everybody. But during this particular series right here, I think his art was just perfect. Gregory Wright's colors work so great with his artwork. It's just, to me, a lot better than Long Halloween. I think he perfected his Batman. His Catwoman looks really nice, and just his characters. They all look like he has been drawing them for years. So that's pretty much the story of Dark Victory, except for one thing, what you saw on the cover. So when I said that this replaced Year 3 as now canon, there is another story, and that is the story of the Flying Graysons, which really doesn't kick off until you're over half the book. That's why I said, does Robin even appear in this? But it is a quick recap of what happened to the Flying Graysons. Look at this image. That is just dramatic and just beautiful. The contrast with the colors in the dark. Oh man, what a powerful image. Very reminiscent, of course, to Crime Alley, right? Like what happened to Bruce and his parents, him on his knees like that. And him just reliving that moment through Dick Grayson. So yes, Dick Grayson starts living at the mansion. It's not really detailed. It's not like Bruce went up to him and was like, hey, you want to come live with me? It's just understood. So there's a lot of that in here. So it relies, a little bit on your knowledge of who Dick Grayson is and how important he is to the life of Bruce Wayne. A lot of things, like I mentioned, are just understood. There are some really cool Easter eggs that appear through here. Not just a lot of the cops that were in Year 1, like Detective Flash, but Clancy O'Hara. For anybody that remembers the Batman 66 TV show, Clancy O'Hara was the police officer that was created for that show. Then later on, he appeared, of course, throughout, I think, World's Finest. He never really fully appeared, but he is in this particular story right here. So I think that's as far as I want to go, so I don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, see what I mean by his Batman? I don't know. By now, I think he's perfected this art of just heavily relying on shadows. And I love it. Now, as far as the extras in the back, here, we're skipping a couple of extras in the back because it spoils the family tree, but there are some interviews here. One of my favorite interviews is when they talk to Tim Sale, and Tim Sale did not want to join Jeph Loeb for this project because he feels like Robin is such a heavily, like, different character than Batman. Like, he didn't want to draw Robin, and because he's such a contrast to what Batman is, you know, relying heavily on hiding in the shadows. But Jeph Loeb was like, you need to do this because these two characters are very essential to the story, and I can't do this without you. So I'm glad that he was able to talk Tim Sale into coming and doing this book. I love the way Tim Sale draws Joker in this particular version. I think his Poison Ivy is phenomenal. Here's some character sketches with Dark Victory and pencils for unused spreads. There's some Robin character studies. And then the toys, which I'm not sure how I feel. I did like Penguin. His take on Penguin is awesome, too. Some more interviews. And actually, this is a foreword, I think, by David Goyer. This was originally published in the Absolute Edition. So, and you have the Absolute Edition cover here in the bio on the creators. As far as the binding on this particular book, believe it or not, that is sewn binding. It just has a ton of glue down there. However, that didn't keep the book from shutting or anything. Oh, one thing I didn't note is I love at the end of each issue, we have Commissioner Gordon sitting in front of the same board, but more and more clues are added in each issue. And then when they stop thinking somebody else is guilty of this crime, they take away some of the evidence from the board. And then, of course, they're on the opposite page of the cover. But I think that's it. Yeah, I think I've said enough about Dark Victory. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your confirmation email from CGN, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this deluxe edition. Let me know in the comments down below if you are picking these stories up in this format, if you already had the omnibus, if you already had the absolute editions. Let me know if you're going into these stories completely blind. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Check us out on Patreon and on Spreadshop. Amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. And more importantly, all of you, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.